To Gurmeet. The first question our viewers had is, my baby is of low birth weight. How often should I nurse him and for how many months?
Okay, so any baby who is born below 2.5 kilos per se is a low birth weight baby. And we recommend every 2 hourly, because that helps to gain a certain amount of weight. And how often, I think one has to divide it. So you could say you could do about 8 to 10 times in a day. Another thing is when the baby is too small, we do encourage mothers to wake the baby and feed the baby initially. But as time goes by, and if you start seeing that the weight is picking up, then in that case, we tell resting also helps in gaining weight. But the initial trajectory has to come. One has to know that there is a pickup in weight. So I would say every 2 hourly is recommended.
For how many months would you say that?
All breastfeedings are recommended. Exclusive breastfeedings are recommended for 6 months, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. So that's sufficient amount of food for the baby, right? I mean, they don't have to supplement anything else.
Okay, so it's a complex. Low birth weight baby might have a lot of reasons why the baby is low birth weight. Okay, there could be reasons from the mother's side. It could be hypertension. It could be the liquor was less. So multiple reasons. Yeah, which means that because of these reasons, the mother may not be able to produce a whole bunch of milk to supply. So what is very important is to get the growth evaluated every 2 weeks. In the first month, we would say every 2 weeks, and then every month. And if your doctor or your pediatrician figures out that the weight gain is not sufficient, so what is a sufficient weight gain? Anything about 20 grams to 30 grams a day. It is sufficient weight gain. Okay? And if you could roll it up and if you don't have to do too much of calculation, we consider the first 4 months weight gain in a healthy child.
4 months? There was, what did you say? What was the weight?
First 4 months? First 4 months? 700 to a kilo every month.
Okay. 700 to a kilo every month. Okay.
That's an adequate and optimal growth.
Within the first 4 months?
In the first 4 months. And it starts decreasing from then onwards.
Okay. Yeah. And is there a difference in the gender? Like, I mean, do they say that girls are smaller?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's a gender thing. Girls are smaller, girls are weight-wise lesser, height-wise a little short.
But difference in the way they feed, is there?
But there's no difference in the feeding. No, it's the same thing. And sometimes your genetics play a role. Right? Big, small babies. Yeah, there are a whole bunch of factors that play a big role in the growth.
You don't have to feel guilty if their child is having a low birth weight.
I feel no mother is ever happy with the growth. Okay, let me not give such a blanket statement, but it's very rare that I see that the mother says that my baby is growing fine. I've always had, my baby looks so thin. And most of the reason is the immediate family, which creates so much of pressure by saying that, the child is looking thin, the child is, the face is not looking fuller. Well, they don't understand it's supposed to change. The baby's supposed to change every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, in the physical attributes, in the behavior, in the milestone. It's such a dynamic time. The first 1 year is so dynamic.
So have you had questions from extended family as well? Do they come as a group and talk to you?
All the time. I feel the new mother always has so much of an anxiety because she has to answer. And then there's a comparison.
Yeah.
within the friends, within the family, kids of the same age. This one is growing a certain fashion, the other one's growing the other
There are
fashion.
some questions like that actually when we go forward.
Just me, my baby. It's not just that baby that the young mother or a new mother has to handle. She also has to have a volley of other questions, which says, "Oh my God, but that one is like this, and
Yeah.
but this one is like that, and this one's baby is like that." So it is. She's comparing, and then the extended family is comparing too. So it's a lot. It's a very stressful time. And it's a postpartum anxiety is there. A little bit, some of them have postpartum depression, so they are dealing with so much, or so much. I think being a mother is a super role that one has to play. There's so much of juggling to do.
It is true. And I think we deal with so much guilt and, so much pressure and just not
That they
the
are
right.
not able to produce enough milk.
Yes.
That's the biggest guilt that I come across that mothers have. I'm trying so hard, but I'm not able to produce enough milk. Yeah.
And first babies, I think parents are so much more anxious, isn't it? And second time around, we just know.
There's no benchmark, right?
Mm.
So you just go by journals or a textbook or somebody who's telling you, is guiding you. You don't know what the benchmark is. It's only when you've been there, done that, that you know what is right, what works for me, what doesn't work for me. So, I guess.
And like you've always said, I remember whenever I brought Rohan and Rishad to you, I think one of the things you've said is like, calm down. I mean, like, so what? I mean, I remember telling you that, oh my God, he has this here and he has this there. And
I know. So that's one. Now I have another line. I tell people, I tell mothers or I tell parents when they come, like, you have 2 years. God has given you 2 years for a reason. Listen from one and take it up from the other.
that may not go well with a lot of people.
No, because that's true. Because you have to filter and you have to keep with you what's required, and which everybody likes to give free advice in our country.
Area when it comes to your baby, isn't it? I mean, if it's you, it's still okay.
Your neighbor gives you advice. Your aunts give you advice. Your mother-in-law gives you advice. Your mother, everybody gives you free advice. But for the parents, they have no role to play but to take care.
Yeah, it's also about I've been there and I've done that, so you just listen to me, isn't it?
Yeah, correct. I've had 3 kids. I have 4 kids. This is the way I raised my kids. So you listen to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the poor parents, especially the mother, I feel that she really, really has to go to the stress.
Yeah, and weigh her relationships around and see who she should listen to, who she shouldn't, and those lines.
That's why
I heard so much.
That's why I tell her 2 years. Yeah. And that's why I encourage all my young parents and new parents to have a list of questions to me, so that they can write it down. And if somebody asks them, they can actually give verbatim. Who've checked it with the doctor.
Correct. Yeah. So you don't forget as well, right? I mean, so that.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So you answered the first and the second question. The second question was, what is the ideal baby weight gain within the first month of birth? And how often should I take him for a checkup? So you just answered both.
I think the checkup part also, the newborn anyways is supposed to visit the hospital every month. So it tends to be every month. But the first month we asked you to visit twice for various reasons. To check on the weight, to check on jaundice levels if are there, all those things. But once a month is adequate. Till about 9 months, once a month is kind of needed for various reasons.
Okay. So is just mother's milk sufficient to sustain the baby till 5-6 months?
Yeah, it is.
That's recommended, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Next question is, my baby doesn't latch on properly and nursing is very painful for me. What can I do?
Okay, so multiple reasons why the baby is not latching on. One has to, now of course there are lactation experts who help you in the hospital, so that they initiate the lactation for you you don't have trouble. But in case that does not happen, one has to check what is the morphology of the breast. Is there an issue? Is there flattened nipples, inverted nipples? So we'll have to address that. And if the baby is still not latching on, in spite of all things, there are nipple shields that can help latch the baby onto the breast. A few factors that play a role. Why
baby will change, right? I mean, the way it holds on, or is it like once learned?
It does. In the beginning, it's hard because the baby also doesn't know. It's a new thing for the baby as well. Yeah. But it happens very quickly. Nature has made it that way. Within third day, it's kind of established. The third, fourth day, the baby is suckling. The more the baby suckles, the more is the milk production. The more is the milk production, the more baby wants. So it's just one of those beautiful cycles that come by, and very naturally. But if there is an issue with latching, then I think we need to evaluate what's going on.
Okay. So the next question is formula bad for my baby? Are there any side effects? Friends tell me that once the baby gets used to formula, it will not like the mother's milk anymore. I don't have enough milk. Is there some food I can take to increase the production? That's a lot of questions in one question.
Yeah. But all blended into one. Okay, formula, no. Formula is not bad for the baby if the baby is not able to grow enough or doesn't have adequate weight gain on mother's milk. Okay? If that is not happening, formula is a big savior, and that's why it is there in the first place. Because we do not want kids not to grow. Okay? For various reasons, whether the mother is diabetic or there could be 101 reasons, or the milk production hasn't happened. Formula is what is needed. So we should use formula wherever is required. And when is it required? When the growth of the baby is not adequate. And like I mentioned already, if it is falling below a certain kilogram a month, then that's the reason you come to a pediatrician to get checked. So if the growth is fine. So when the formula is introduced, it is fine if you have done everything else and the growth has not happened. They're fantastic formulas, and once the baby's on formula, we actually encourage them to stay on it till about 1 year of age. Before that, no cow's milk should be introduced. Either it's the mother's milk or it's the formula. And cow's milk is a no-no, a big no-no. No matter what the previous generations did, no matter how many kids were raised earlier on cow's milk, for cow's milk allergy is a very, very big entity nowadays and does a whole bunch of damage.
Oh, really?
If you know, every disease is related to the gut. Yeah. So if your gut from birth gets damaged, or gut in early infancy gets damaged, then you have a whole bunch of issues as growing up. So gut microbiome is so important today that you want to preserve it in any which ways. And cow's milk destroys that if we introduce it very early for various reasons, because the protein levels are very, very high for a baby to digest. So, yeah.
That's interesting. How long should I feed my infant? Will I be overfeeding her or underfeeding her? Is there a time limit? Can I not nurse using both the sides in one feed?
So I think exclusive breastfeeding 6 months. Not I think that's the mandate. 6 months of exclusive breastfeeding. After that, we have weaning foods and breastfeeding. Or if you don't have enough, or the mother's working, formulas introduced, then you could. The mothers can feed up to 2 years of age in between. But
what about like feeds in on a daily basis? Like I think what they mean is like how long in one 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
20 minutes is more than enough for a child. Yeah, is to feed. Sometimes some mothers have more milk, so they don't even need to go to the other side. So one side fully is enough. But if you did both the sides in a hurry, then there is something called as a foremilk and hind milk. The fore milk, which has more proteins, a hind milk, this last part of the milk has more fats. So the baby doesn't feel filled up if you do not give fore and hind milk from one breast. So it's all right to give one breast. And then the baby doesn't want any more, you don't have to do it. We've seen this issue a lot of times, that the mothers want to feed on both the breasts because the mother is very uncomfortable as well with so much of milk. So they tend to feed fore milk, and as a result, the baby tends to suckle more, and then there is more protein and not fat. Fat gives you the satiety. It tells you stop and keeps the baby filled up. The baby sleeps better. The feeding cycles get a little bit more extended. But otherwise, you'll have a fussy baby who'd want to feed. So on one
side is very important then.
It's good. It's a good thing. Yes.
Okay. Wow. I have to rejoin work soon and have started pumping for my girls' bottle feeds. How many bottles should I leave for the day? How do I know and decide? I think 2 people have asked this question. So my son is 3 months old and daughter's age, I don't know. So I guess.
So it's the same way as you would. By the time you go to work, it's usually 3 months or 4 months.
Correct.
3 or 4 months, and then by that time the feeding has fallen into place. So you would be feeding it, let's say, every 3 hours. That's what I see. So you just calculate the time that you're going to be away. So you would, every 3 hours, 1 bottle that you would have there. And you could leave that bottle in a glass container, or a milk in a glass container or a steel container, and put it in a refrigerator. The only thing is, when it comes out, we do not thaw it. It has to be thawed at room temperature. So depending on the time that you're going to be away, considering that 3 hours, one feed is good enough.
So, Dr. Gurmeet, when you keep it in the fridge and take it out, I mean, is it common practice to soak it in warm water for it to
hurry it up? Maybe if you want to, you don't want the baby crying, but if you had you knew when the baby is going to start fussing around, so half an hour before that, if you brought it out, put it in room temperature, it comes down to room temperature. So not. But if it's too cold, then you could swirl the container in a hot water. Yes. And no microwave, of course. No microwaving it. No heating it. No mixing it with another milk.
Does that happen to people today?
Yes, I do come across people, but they probably like to do the little formula and the
okay. I have a distracted baby. She feeds and stops every few minutes. I can't even talk on the phone. Is this how it is going to be always? I'm not even sure she's getting the milk she needs. This is like a never-ending process. It was cute at the beginning, now not so much.
Okay, so first of all, like I said, massage is a special time. Feeding is also a special time. So we always teach the young mothers to set a ritual. When you have to feed the baby, don't feed the baby in the middle of a living room. You have to set aside a place, have a nice armchair, a darker room, maybe playing music in the background, so that the baby doesn't get distracted, plus you are not distracted, and the atmosphere around helps you have a better let down, so there's better milk supply. So there has to be a proper ritual about feeding the baby. It can't be in a hurry. It can't be while you're on the phone and then the baby's doing. Of course, the baby's going to get distracted because your voice changes. There's so many other things happening, and now this little one can see, and there's too much of stimulation. So feeding the baby has to be in like a sacred place, actually. Until, of course, you're in bed, well, at night, that's different. But there has to be a feeding zone where you should feed the baby. So it's up to us how we feed the baby. It's not the baby's. It's not the baby's problem. It's our problem.
A lot of moms use this time to catch up because they're alone finally, especially if they live with a lot of family and stuff. So
I think that's probably the worst time to catch up. even though I said they should sleep when the baby's sleeping, maybe the catching up can happen at that time. But feeding is so essential, right? Yeah.
Will my baby get sufficient nutrients if I don't eat a balanced diet? What diet is important for a nursing mom? Should I eat more?
Okay, so firstly, you don't eat for two people. You do not. Like in pregnancy, also you don't eat for two people, but your calcium and your vitamin D requirements increase. So that's why we say milk more. We give you supplements. Iron is given because all these are supplied from you to the baby. If you do not follow a balanced diet, your child will have deficiencies. As a matter of fact, the reason vitamin D has been incorporated into as a regular supplement in the newborns or child under 1 year of age is because the mothers, or mostly 90% Indian mothers, are deficient in vitamin D. So that's the reason the babies are given vitamin D when they're born. They've done tests and all babies, mostly all babies are vitamin D deficient. So now we just give them daily recommended dose of vitamin D till they're 1 year of age. That's the reason. So if you don't eat balanced diet, your child is going to have nutritional deficiency for sure. Yes.
Is it true that nutritional deficiency is actually seen on the nail beds of the children?
Not on kids as young as 1 year, but can. As they grow older, you see some ridges. Yes, those are nutritional deficiencies. Can be seen on the nail ridges. Yes,
those white kind of
lines.
Is that vitamin D deficient?
No, it could be multiple. Usually we have iron, sometimes calcium.
Okay.
Depends how the lines are, the horizontal or the vertical.
Show the doctor, right? Can I not have curd and ice cream? I was told it's bad for the baby as I'm nursing him and he might catch a cold. Is there any truth to this?
So again, it's a very cultural thing. It's only in India that we say that. Don't have curd and don't have ice cream. But ice cream in moderation is great. You could have a dessert because you're craving. I don't think you having an ice cream is going to bring on a cold in the baby. And curd I am a great propagator of curd because it has got this fantastic culture which is so good for your gut.
But probiotic, right? So
probiotic. But I don't want to get into your family ways, so I steer away from it and I say what the family tells you to do.
Come on, Dr. Gumi, be brave.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that no, it doesn't cause cold. Until of course you've seen. Until of course even before pregnancy, if you did take cold and curd and then your throat was irritated, you would have issues. But not because you had a baby and then you're having and the baby will get it. No, that's not.
So if a nursing mother has cold, are you saying that the baby will catch it as well? Is it because the droplet infection or anything else?
Okay. Droplet airborne. Yes, okay. That. Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.